Hey everybody, welcome to an episode of Should I Love with Jason Stuart. My guest is actress, writer, producer, and director, Valerie LANDSBURG.
Hi.
Welcome. I've known you for so long. That's what I was first saying. I think I met you in 1984 with Ian Fraser and David Reed and Lee Garlington, and we were all in the AIDS walk, and your sister Shana.
Yeah.
Shana LANDSBURG.
That was when, God, what a time that was. And just everything that we were going through at that time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when I think about how at that age, and, and I remember because of the writers, Ian, everybody, and
Ian was the writer-producer on Taxi.
And also All Is Forgiven.
And the show that you did.
That's the show that I was doing.
And then Shana, your sister, LANDSBURG, is casting director.
But she was working for Randy Stone at the time.
Oh, my God.
Randy was the casting
Randy
director.
Stone, who had produced the short film Trevor with Jodie Foster.
Right.
And when I went to read for him for Give Me a Break, he was eating a banana, and I just stopped and I said, "What are you doing?" And he looked at me, and I think he was pretty annoyed that I would say that and never called me in again. But God bless him, he passed away. I think, and then of course, who else? David Reed, who was the writer of a play that I did that came out of that walk called Panic in Griffith Park, and also a production.
David Reed's play Panic in Griffith Park. That was a whole big thing too, and I knew David because All Is Forgiven was done by the same producers.
And then he went on to do Cheers as
a
production.
That's right, and also he was the one who created the Names project.
Yes.
That ran every year.
For years and years and years. And he's still wonderful. I just saw him recently. We were all reading parts of the Miller Report in West Hollywood. We were all asked to come and read, activists and people who were of note. And we all read a couple paragraphs from it. Ice cold, which is sort of scary for the actors. Anyway, so people know you mostly from playing Doris on Fame for a number of 5 years, I guess, 6 years?
It says I was on for, I guess it really is 5 years, because from the time I did the pilot, which was in 1980, until I left the show after the end of the 4th season, which was 1985. Yeah, so really it was a long period of time. And the crazy thing is, I just came back from, in May, doing 2 sold-out shows with the cast in Liverpool, 1,600-seat venue, 2 nights.
2 musical shows.
Yeah. 2 2-hour musical nights.
Well, I think that show and that movie meant a lot to us as kids.
Well, this is what happened. Starting in 2015, people came. I got a call, and I know that Nia Peoples and Carlo had both ended up going to Italy.
Say their whole name for the people that don't know what the character they play, so people at home can follow and feel involved.
Nia, from the series Fame, Nia Peoples, who played Nicole.
Right.
And Carlo Imperato, who played Danny Amatullo.
From the beginning of the whole
From the very beginning.
From the Alan Parker film.
And then Cynthia Gibb had also come along with him. She played Holly Laird. And they had been sort of contacted. Nia had been contacted by this very sweet man in Italy. And he and his family had decided they wanted to do something. They couldn't just sit around and watch what was happening in the world. And they wanted to raise money for something. And they decided to raise money for children in the most dangerous places in the world. And they
God, that's just my heart.
Yeah, they settled on Colombia and Medellin. And so initially Nia came and did a concert. Then Nia and Carlo came and did a concert. And then by 2015, they called us. And everyone was available, obviously, except for Jean Anthony Ray, who is passed. But
who played Leroy.
Who played Leroy. And we all came. So we all went to Parma, Italy. It was the first time. We'd been. People
this is
had
just the
gathered
TV
us.
Show people, not the movie people.
This is the TV show people. Except for the people who were in the movie and who were also in the TV show. But we all came together. We arrived in Parma. We had 4 days to put together the show. We knew basically what we were singing. They'd sort of done some scripting to move us through.
Did you have the words somewhere, or did you guys?
No, it was.
It just sort of came back to you.
And not only did it come back to us, but we sound great. Like everybody, even Carlo, who has not really been acting at all. He's been, Carlo builds big sets and runs a big company for sets for movies.
Uh-huh.
And he's done that for years because he's smart. Anyway, it was incredible. And we had the best time with each other. It's like we wouldn't even...
But isn't that once you hit 50, I think that's what life becomes about more, is the idea of having more fun. And
Exactly.
you and I, even though we don't see each other a lot, I don't know why I have a connection with you. I still don't understand it. But we have so many connections of people. Robert Shearer, who recently passed. Did you know that? You knew that?
I did.
And his daughter Amanda and his son Evan were my friends growing up. And in my book, there's so much a part of my past in my book, Shut Up, I'm Talking, which is available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and CCB Publishing.
And pick it up and make sure that when you do read it, please leave a review.
Yes, thank you so much, on Amazon. But there's a chapter called Simply Amanda, because growing up, she was such a touchstone, and still is, and she just moved to Costa Rica with her new beau.
I'm telling you,
She's
we're all
retired.
moving out of Dodge.
Well, yeah, because I think that LA is no longer what it was. After seeing Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and seeing what this town used to be in the 60s and 70s, it was this sleepy little town. And you certainly are a part of that because your father, tell people who your dad is.
Well, my dad, we moved because we moved from New York. We lived in New York until I was 3.5. And that was when my dad met Mel Stuart, because we happened to move into a building.
Stuart, right?
Yes.
It's another connection, same last name.
That's right.
Even though mine's made up, it's still an interesting, another weird connection that we would spell it the same way. There just seems to be so many things. And we met, and we never tried to be friends. It just sort of came, into each other's lives.
That's very true.
The universe is pushing us.
It's always been pushing us together. It has pushed us together
even though
over
we've
and
made
over.
Very little effort.
But my dad, coincidentally, my dad and my mom moved into an apartment in Riverdale on the same floor as Mel Stuart and his wife Harriet Stewart. And Mel is like the director.
Both writer, producer, director.
Yeah, Mel is the director of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
But didn't he also direct A Touch of Class? Or have something? No?
If it's Tuesday, This Must Be Belgium. And then a ton of television. And then he made documentaries until he was 89 years old.
Wow.
He's a huge resume. Anyway, so he said, I'm moving to California to start a company with a guy named David Wolper. And we need a writer, producer.
Tell people who David Wolper is.
Yeah, well, David Wolper started a company called Wolper Productions. And Mark, David's son, Mark Wolper, has a huge company now.
Wow.
Just went into business with a friend of mine.
Wow.
It's, it happens multi-generationally. But to wind back to the thing...
Well, you're sort of who I wanted to be growing up. You were like Hollywood royalty. I would have killed someone to be someone's child,
I wish I had just had one of those parents who went, you should use my daughter in this. Unfortunately, I didn't have that parent.
Yeah, but it happens in a different way because you know these people and you go, you knew them, so they feel comfortable with you. So when you walk in the room, you have a cachet to audition. You have sort of a cachet because they know who you are and they know know your lineage, and they're hoping that some of the talent spilled into you. There's certainly the Liza Minnellis and the Lorna Luffs, and everybody has a different degree of success in their own family, depending on. We never really know. People always say, "Why did she do this? Why didn't she do that?" And it doesn't happen that way. You try, and sometimes things don't work out the way you think they're going to work out. They work out in a different way.
I think that's possible. I always liked that my career always stayed just enough under the radar that nobody ever said really terrible things about me.
Oh God, not me.
But so I'm going to roll it back to the fame, which is so interesting. So they put us we were going to perform in a theater called Teatro Novo, which was in Salsa Maggiore, which is in the mountains above, about 30 minutes above Parma. Gorgeous. And it sold out in a week. 750 seats.
My friend Allison Angram does a one-person show called Confessions of a Prairie Bitch, and she's made a career out of telling that story, but also hers is much more evolved because she was so involved in child protection and
yes, I know.
AIDS and HIV, and who she was as an activist and a person in the world made the show. Okay, I'm famous. They're not hiring me for other things, but now I can do all this other stuff, and this is what I'm bringing to it. And I was just on her radio show recently, her podcast, and she's just absolutely extraordinary woman, has an extraordinary story to tell, and it keeps evolving.
Well, and if you can let go enough, which is what she did, to say, let's go with what this thing that's happening. Let
Right.
me move in this direction. If I'm not stuck in what I think I'm supposed to be, and we all evolve in that same way.
I'm a little bit more stubborn, I think, because I saw myself a certain way, and I never saw myself the way other people saw me, and I didn't really care after a while. There was a part of me that just didn't care, and I just wanted to be a character actor from the moment. I didn't really know what it was called, but that's what I always wanted. To be a comedian was something I fell into because I was gay and no one would hire me. I mean, that's what and then I got successful in it because of my work ethic.
It's so funny to think about the number of gay, trans, LGBTQ comedians,
Oh my God.
And listen, a lot of people trailblazed in that way.
Oh, there's Robin Tyler, Michael Greer, Kate Clinton, Leah Delaria. There's a lot of people there way before me. And I stand on Jeffy Cohen, and I stand on their shoulders. And I never, ever...
I think about Bob, too. I mean, it's like...
I never forget that.
Yeah. So
And I always apologize to Bob because people would write to me all the time and say, oh, well, you were the first openly gay comedian to do this. And I say, no, I wasn't. I wasn't. But I was the first one. Robin Tyler said something to me the other day that really just made me cry. She said, well, you were the first one to be really successful in the mainstream. And that's maybe what my first was, is that I didn't even know that in the sense that I was doing that. That's where I had come from. Bob had done a lot of the alternative and the gay nights, and he toured with Funny Gay Males. And I didn't know all about that. I didn't really know the history of that or why and anything. And it was harder for them because I guess they had not started in that place or were not allowed. So they broke the ground so I could work there. And also I had the sensibility of having to work in front of any kind of audience, no matter what. And that's what I was taught. And I think they were more, this is what we do. And both of them are both valid, totally valid. But they cause you to work in different venues because of it.
I think also a lot of it, you also brought a more, I don't want to say mainstream, but your content, I think, was accessible in a particular kind of way. And I don't even know if it's being Jewish. But
maybe so, yes.
You know what I mean?
Accessible,
Hamish,
but in a way, because I was in the mainstream, they saw it as not accessible, even though I was doing it there. Whereas they wouldn't even let them in.
Right.
Which is so
exactly.
bizarre. But though Tom and Suzanne Westenhofer were the ones that were chosen to be on the HBO specials, and were the ones that the beautiful blonde girl and the Joe College looking guy.
Right.
And I didn't realize at the time with my crazy look that was something that probably made me look too. I look like, if Paul Lynde and Prince would have a child, it would be me. So let's talk about your film. So you stopped acting in around 2009 or 10. And I know you were offered a couple things over the years, and one or two you turned down.
I actually stopped.
And I always found that sad, but I understand. But now I don't as much, but I understand.
I would get calls, it would still, even when I wasn't actively pursuing it, I would still get calls, and I was always, it's always good to act, especially if you've been directing and you've been producing. You go back and act, and it's like, oh great, is this my clothes? I'll put them on. Is this craft service? Oh great, the sun's going down. I'm sorry, but I can't help you with that. It's like, you're just, I'm in such a lovely position as an actor. And
well, you never stop being an actor.
No, I don't think it's like you don't ever stop being Jewish, like they say, or you don't,
even if you're not.
Or what is it? When you leave Britain, you always remain a subject of the Queen.
Exactly.
I think it's the same thing. It's like I'm always an actor for the rest of my life.
I'm just an actor who feels the need to have to act all the time. I like doing it, no matter what it is. But now it's changing. I want to do it, but only good things. I don't want to be in anything that isn't good.
I'm exploring that. I'm exploring, is it something that I do want to do more of? And I would. And I only feel like I've gotten more relaxed, better, everything I do.
That's
the
word.
That.
That's the word right there, is relaxed.
I know it from fame concerts. I know it because when we do the fame concerts.
You got to taste.
Well, what it is that it was so easy for me. Like, I wasn't freaked out. I knew, I'd been playing music for 10 years on my own. And so going out on a stage, and, I would do the songs that I did.
Oh, you did do that.
My voice was in great shape. I also played, every concert we've done, I've played a piece of original material. This last concert in Liverpool, 1,600 seat venue, I played one of my songs that was one of my mom's favorite songs. I just walk out there with my guitar. I had a great comic moment. I walked out with the guitar, and for some reason the cord that the guitar was attached to got hooked on something. And it's just the comic in me. I just turned, put like Marceau, my hands on the cord, and began, mime tugging at the cord. Huge laughter, which pulled the stage manager with her headlamp on out from the curtain to get there. And so it was like a huge laugh. And then by the time I got to the microphone, it was just like, I'd love to tell you I'm cool. I'm just not cool.
Well, it's all part of the character that they love, Doris.
Yeah, and it's just beautiful. And I can get up there and sing. I've been singing and doing music gigs for 10 years now.
I did not know
that. Really comfortable doing that. I'm comfortable playing. I learned how to play and sing. That's a trick. Learn how to play the guitar and sing at the same time. But when I have another, I'm getting ready this fall, instead of winter, I start tracking. I like to do a record every 20 years. Most people would pick a different, because I have my first record, Grown Up, which is still out there. And I'm going to do a second record, which I think is called Firebrand. And but I'm not sure. Anyway, so with all the stuff that happened with the fame thing, so all these things. But it's interesting that the music comes up and the relaxation. So when I was doing the crowdfunding, here's what happens with Love and Debt. So
let's tell people what this is. Okay, so you have been directing as a director for hire, all different kinds of little things, odds and ends here and there, nothing to write home about, really, and you wanted to hang your hat on something that was yours, that you created from beginning to end. You were just a director for hire. And you learned your craft. Certainly you learned your craft by working also. And then you got this incredibly wonderful script. And I remember reading it, and you tried to make a movie out of it. And you got a lot of friends to be in it. And it took a long time. You lost people, you got people. If people could see your face now, it's a whole oy gevalt. Would I ever do that again? Probably not. But
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. So 2006, two things happened. I decided I was going to leave California. I knew it was going to be another 7 or 8 years, because my youngest, I would wait till he went to college.
Right.
And I didn't want to leave Los Angeles till he was well on his way. But I wanted to make a movie that I cared about. So Dylan, who just dropped me off here, Dylan, my cousin, Dylan Otto, had written this one-act play. And he never finished it. Called Listen. And I couldn't, it was about a family, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So that started us writing. I said, okay, we're going to make a movie of that play, Listen. And 2 drafts in, Dylan came and he said, I want to make a movie about a credit collection agency. And I had a friend named Rose who had I'd been spending hours on the phone with her because she was working at a credit collection agency. And she said, I can't talk to crying people anymore. I cannot do it. I have to quit this job. So we went, okay, great. So what's the crisis in the family? The crisis in the family is Dad gets downsized out of the job he had for 10 years because the company is moving to China. Right? Could it be more topical now? So that's the script that we began to write. And of course, when we really got our script that we loved, it was 2008, because we did other things. I wrote a script for another company. I did all kinds of things. And then 2008 came, and the stock market crashed, and the bottom fell out of the housing market. And nobody wanted to read a script about Dad's in debt for $80,000 because he tried to be a good guy and he racked up debt. And so that began the next part of the journey, and the next part of the journey went on. But as the journey kept going, the script kept getting better. At one point, my sister, Shayna LANDSBURG, who is casting director, now a manager, and she said, here's your problem. This is why your guys, your main characters aren't jumping in. Your main character is there for the first 5 pages and disappears for the next 15. And if you write a lead in a movie, They got to be there in the first 20 pages. Because what we do as actors is we go, my line, my line, my line. I'm miming, thumbing through a script. So my line, nothing, 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 nothing. My line, nothing, nothing, nothing. And this is like people do like a page, like a flip book flip.
Oh, we all do.
Right.
We don't even do that. No, we don't do that anymore. What we do is we go right in our character's name.
Right.
No, you scan. You put in your character's name. Character Joe. What page is you on? And it puts on any page your character is talked about
so funny.
Or on. That's what I do.
Of course.
Well, I never, because I'm a character actor, so I never, sometimes I don't even read the whole script sometimes because.
So that's what happens. So
I shouldn't say that.
Then there were people who.
Because I don't like to know when I'm doing it. I don't like to know what happens, what my character doesn't see in the script. Because it makes me as an actor.
That's right.
It makes me.
Our hardest job as actors
is not to know.
Not knowing what we know.
Right. I read the script once, and then it's for tone and everything, and then I don't read it again.
Mm-hmm. It's so I think this is as we went along, we learned the script got better and better, and we went on meetings and we talked to production companies, and there'd be we went through all this stuff, but every time we left, and I am enormously grateful that in 1985, I got sober. And the gift for me in a 12-step program for the next 34 years, I just celebrated 34 years, was I learned about myself. And I began to understand things like, if I wasn't afraid that I was worthless because someone gave me a note, that what I could do is learn from everything. That the capacity to learn from everything was always there. And that also required support from other people and ending up in a fetal position on the floor and all those things. But so we'd go to meetings and we'd walk out of meetings and sometimes they would have said something. And I mean, the gift that I tell everybody, the note, when you get the note that you go, over my dead body, that is the note that you should pay the most attention to. Because the only reason you're saying not over my dead body is it has struck a fear in you. And I've learned that from coaching people, from teaching people, from working with directors, from being a writer, from being a director, from being a human being in a world where people hurt my feelings really easily. My feelings are really easily hurt.
Well, most artists are. It's because we have to walk around with our feelings open. Otherwise, we can't do what we do.
And the most important thing, of course, is to remember that they're feelings, and feelings just are.
Yes, and they don't mean anything, and they will come in and go as fast as they go.
They need to be honored. You get to utilize them. You get
it takes
to
a
utilize
long
them
time
for
to get.
But it takes a long time.
Sometimes it takes 50 years.
Well, I say, in your teenage years, first you're a child, and you actually kind of know everything. You're so wide open. And then by the time you're 10, things have started to change. And when you're a teenager, everybody tells you who you are. And in your 20s, you tell everybody who you are. And in your 30s, you spend all your time either asking people who you are and then telling them who you are. And in your 40s, you begin to make friends. You start to befriend who you actually are. And this is when they'll say, we're at the very beginnings of leaving the internal parental home. And in your 40s, you also start to see some of your frailty. It becomes more apparent in your 40s. And I feel like when I turned 50, the beauty for me was, I remember I had a 50th birthday party, and then 2 days later, I had from my toenails, sobbing, wailing cry. And then the hostage negotiation was over. I got to look in the mirror and go, oh, this is my body. This is my face. This is who I am. And in my 50s has been this extraordinary time of just letting go, letting go, letting go. And I turned 60. I turned 61 in August. So when I turned 60, the interesting thing that happened was I really thought, okay, what is really important now? What are the most important things? Because I can see the beginning of this part of the journey and what is really important.
Oh, yeah.
And this thing in the 60s is like, I just can have a sign up just says, it's one of my favorite signs. How important is it really? Right? Well, if it really is, then do it. Be with it. And it's just let me let go. So in the process of this film, like hills and valleys, up and down, we had this entire cast. When we did our crowdfunding, when we did our first crowdfunding, and by the way, that's when I started playing music. Right before we did the crowdfunding.
I remember that.
Right before I did the crowdfunding, I was freaked out because this wasn't like, hi, I'm asking for money for small children in a terrible country to make their life work better. I was saying, hi, I'm asking for your money so I can make a movie. Right? And I started to get very freaked out about it. Right? So
it's a self-serving dream.
I knew there was an open mic night in my town, and I just thought, I am taking my guitar and I am going to go stand up there and I'm going to play my guitar and sing a song, and because I need to do something courageous. And this totally freaks me out, the idea of doing this. And
did you go in there as Valerie Landsburg from Fame, or did you go in there as just Valerie?
It's my little town in Rockland. Some people know what I do, and some people, everybody there just everybody knows everybody else. So,
right.
I just went in and went, and my hands got stuck on the keyboard, but you know what? I went, okay, this is good.
That's just a nothing. Please pretend you didn't hear that.
Say it again.
Please pretend you didn't hear that.
So I just stood up there and I made mistakes, and I was like a little bit mortified and kind of, had visions of who I was and all kinds of stuff. But then I just kept doing it. And there were some really incredible musicians where I lived too, and they were just all come and play these nights. And there's still this group of 10 different musicians who will all form kind of a band for whoever wants to come up and sing and play. And it's gentle and it's kind and it's wonderful. So I've done this. So this really got me playing and singing, and that nothing can make you more comfortable on stage than playing a musical instrument and singing at the same time.
Tell me more about what the experience was, feeling like you had an artistic home.
Well, in Maine, I live in a town that has 32 art galleries, and it has tons of
I've been
artists.
there, which is interesting.
And you've been there. I really did feel like I had an artistic home. There's, in the Maine media, which used to be Maine Film and Photographic, which is this incredible place. Inaratu was there. All these different directors and people have come through places. I just met
It's a beautiful place to film.
I just met, in person, one of my photographic heroes, Keith Carter, and spent a couple days with him. And that was the most joyous thing in the entire world. And so I do this crowdfunding campaign because we can't wait around for the production company anymore. And friends, people
you hired a person who did that. I remember.
We did hire a person who did that.
And you really went for it.
And
in a way, you were having people. We had a thing at my
house.
We
did.
I went to one at my house and one at Lee Garlington's house. And
we did
we're
everything.
all on our phones and giving money and.
And we raised a lot of money, except for the fact that we set our price too high with Kickstarter, and if you don't get the price, you don't get the money.
Which is now Kickstarter is history, and everybody were doing the other ones because
people still do. You know what? Here's the other thing: there's a whole crowdfunding is a whole another subject, but there are certain areas in which crowdfunding just soars. Technology, invention, anything like that. Everyone wants the first one. So,
can you tell us what your budget was?
My budget, when we ultimately ended up in Atlanta, and that's where we shot, and we worked with a production company there, and we had tax incentive. But our budget with our tax incentive is somewhere around $970,000.
So touch under $1 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the film looks beautiful. The film is
called Love and Debt, and it was called
Offer and Compromise.
Yeah.
Everybody kept coming back in the marketing and all kinds of things, and they just kept saying, we think it's too technical and we think it's dramatic. Mm-hmm. Even though what we always did was what was funny is it used to be offer and compromise, and we'd say the word and once we put an ampersand, it's very funny. Once we put all the letters in lowercase and put an ampersand in the center and made them orange and blue, it looked like a comedy. But Love and Debt happened. We had
it stars Tom Cavanaugh from Chuck.
No, well, Tom Cavanaugh from The Flash.
Oh, now The Flash, yeah.
Which is, Tom is like Mr. Comic-Con.
Right.
Now, Bellamy Young.
From
Scandal. And now Prodigal Son. Bailey Madison, who's doing a movie right now, but she's Trophy Wife, The Fosters.
Ed Marino from NYPD.
Ed Marinero.
Marinero, forgive me.
NYPD.
Lee Merriweather from Barnaby Jones, who's just...
and he
just
still
wonderful.
works all the time.
Yes.
Daryl Chill Mitchell, who's in his 3rd season of NCIS.
Yardley Smith from The
Smith, who is Lisa's the voice.
And my dear comedy mentor at one time, who almost stopped me from doing comedy, Danny Mora. Who scared the shit out of me when I first met him.
Danny and I worked together in a loop group. Danny played Castro in incredible play that I did, and he was amazing. And he was in it.
And Daryl Mitchell.
Oh yeah, Daryl Chill Mitchell.
Fear the Walking Dead.
Could be. He's on both of them. He's on NCIS and Fear the Walking Dead.
And he's in a wheelchair, and God bless him. People are hiring him, and I think makes me wonder. I did one of my first jobs with him on the John Larroquette show.
Well, his story is, he's like an actor, he's doing great. His cousin comes over and goes, Chill, you got to drive my motorcycle. He gets on the motorcycle, he's in an accident, he's paralyzed for the rest of his life. But he just decided to make it happen. He is one of the funniest human beings. I could make a whole movie of Daryl from just Daryl riffing as his character in the collection agency. I could make a short that is nothing but Daryl Mitchell. Chill. He's just a lovely man. And he was like, don't write for the chair. You write anything you want. I'll do anything you want.
Well, it's like Peter Dinklage. I just recently watched this morning. I woke up early before you came, and I just watched The Station Agent again.
Such a good movie.
I'm the biggest Tom McCarthy fan. I went to one of the original screenings of that, and I met all of them there. And Peter and Bobby, and I don't think Patricia was there. And I met Tom, and that film just blew me away. And the film, it was a little bit about him being a dwarf, but it really wasn't about being a dwarf. It was just about being a misfit, and it could be anybody. It's just that his thing happened to be being a dwarf. My thing happened to be being whatever it is, and And those are the kind of things that I want to be in, and I think you probably want to direct.
That's the question now. I think that's the question. The good news is I'm open to anything, and I'm willing to show up for any of it. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going out for, right now. There's a friend of mine who's an agent of merit, and she said, when you're ready, let me know.
In New York?
Give me the film. No, she just said, give me the film here. I'll go find you. I'll help you find a directing agent.
Oh, wow.
So, and you know what? It's like Las Vegas. I do my part. I do what's my part. Here's the film. Here's anything you need from me. Here's all this stuff. And then I let go. And if that's where I'm supposed to be, then that's where I'm supposed to be.
And now the film is coming out. What's the name of the production company?
Okay, so the
Who bought it?
The movie is called Love and Debt. The U.S. distributor is Fabrication Films. If you go to their website, you'll also see Killers Anonymous, which they just released, which was Gary Oldman.
Oh, wow.
It's like Alcoholics Anonymous. It's like Killers Anonymous.
I love it.
Anyway, so that's one of their films. And Miriam Elshanon, who's amazing, who has taught me how to make a movie from back to front. She said every filmmaker has to learn how to make a movie from back to front. Which means the movie's done, you're not done. You know how... You know what the end game is. I know, as an actor, that's what's made me hireable in a world with other people, which a lot of people don't understand, is I show up for the movie from beginning to end. I started as someone who figures out what the director needs of me. I know as a character actor that I'm here to support the film. Mm-hmm. It's not about me. It's about how do I figure into your vision, and how do I bring what I want to do to what you're doing. Sure. Which I was telling you when I was coaching a friend, one of my neighbors who live here, young actor here. I said, hey, don't stop playing your goofy characters, but add to them. So you're not just a one-trick pony. Exactly. You could be a one-trick pony, 30 years, 40 years ago. You could have been Doris forever. And you discovered this for yourself, like my friend Michael Kostroff did. You both discovered that if you're somebody who plays goofy, you're also somebody who can play scary. And deadly. And annoying. Because that's it's the same, because you have no fear of being this and you have no fear of being that. Maybe so.
But it's also about physical behavior, tone in your voice.
Everything.
Being able to change your voice down to here if you need to.
That's right.
It's hard times, the small farmers.
I just did that voice myself for something else.
See? It's just...
You can just take it down. I have a person.
And then if you have to go back again, you can go back again to being the same character you read before years ago if you need to.
Oh, and I have a character that actually, it really was born out of a lot of different things, mostly raising my own, like on a day that I needed a boost of morale, I created this character, but now it's become an ongoing character. It's Tom Cavanaugh loves this character.
So here's the thing that you have to know. So if you're doing a child, right, then you have to really feel, so like you have to really feel like you're a child, not like you're somebody who's really like an adult, but
and that's the truth.
And then if you take that and then you put it into things like people with diplomatic power, or you're looking at what's happening. So what we're dealing with, tariffs, right? That's killing everybody. There's soybeans that are, we have soybeans and the little soybeans are all shriveling up.
Honey, this is so Lily Tomlin-esque.
It's a great character.
Oh, it is. It could be Edith Ann's little cousin.
When my partner gets, if he gets a little bit down, that's when
I come in and I say, well, wait a minute, hold on, let's not get involved in this kind of bullshit.
So it's good. It's good. All kinds of every dialect.
Let's not get too artsy, and let's go back to the business because I want people to know where they can find this movie. So when is the movie coming out?
So the movie has. The great news about this is that Miriam Elshanon at Fabrication Films has been the most extraordinary entity in this. She acquired my film, said to me, "Let me be your sales agent instead of your distributor right now. Let me find you the right U.S. distributor, the right Canadian distributor." She said, "I will sell this movie until there's no movie left to sell." So the digital premiere, U.S. Distribution, is September 21st. And it's the places initially that would be great to go because it's video on demand is Amazon, your video on demand on Spectrum, on Comcast, on Cox Broadcasting. It's also...
So everybody can watch it on whatever
cable
you have.
Video on demand.
If you don't have Amazon Prime.
Right. And this is what we call it. It won't be Amazon Prime. It'll be Amazon Pay for
$5.99.
Yeah, whatever they...
That's the usual for the new movies, yeah.
And
so for $6, you and your lover and your kids can watch this movie.
That's right.
In a house and by yourself.
That's right. And if you send me an email, I'll send you popcorn. I just want to say this to everybody. I'll send you popcorn.
That's a lot. Don't...
But this is this movie is very real. It's very real, and it's about what we're looking at. But it's also, it's a drama about the comedy of life. That's what it's about. It's a comedy about the drama of life. It's a both.
So it's also going to be sold to other places in the world.
Yeah, and now we're the Canadian deal. They're kind of making the Canadian deal now. And Tom Cavanaugh is a big Canadian actor. So the actors in it, you know the actors in it. They're all familiar. We have a YouTube channel. It's just Love and Debt is the name. Went from Offer and Compromise to Love and Debt. And it's really when you're up to your eyeballs in debt, it's not about the money. And it's really true.
Well, that's a lovely way to end.
It's really true.
That's a lovely way to end.
It's about the durability of marriage and family, the institution of debt, and the price of honesty.
And that can be goddamn funny.
And that can be really funny. And everyone in the cast. I was also blessed with this cast in Atlanta. I shot in Atlanta.
And it's a wealth of wonderful actors.
All of my actors in Atlanta.
So again, September.
Yes. So September 21st. Saturday, September 21st.
So when you're home on Saturday night on the 21st and you don't want to go anyplace,
go to Amazon. Go to your cable video on demand.
And you could see this movie. And
see this movie.
And please, and how can people contact you?
And people can contact me. Go to loveanddebt.com. Not Love and Death, but Love and Debt. Like, boy, do we have some debt we need to take care of. Right. Boy, do we have money on the credit card. Loveanddebt.com, that's the website. You can contact me right through there. You can send me an email.
And Valerie,
lovely website.
And Valerie from Frame, who played Doris, will send you an email back.
I will.
This has been a joy. We've got to thank everybody who was involved in this film, and I'm really excited to see it myself. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody. Until next time.